Hello. I'm Peaceful Nick the Medium. I'm an evidential medium specializing in healing messages. I'm going to be going live tonight with Lorenda Carr, medium, and we're going to be answering, hi Jim, we're going to be answering questions about mediumship and giving some free mini readings. I have a 50% off coupon right now, good through the end of January. It's Capital Holly 2023 for 50% off a full reading. Hi Adam, hi Susan. Okay, I'm getting messages. And anyway, I am giving mini mediumship readings for only $25 next week, $12.28. They're 10 to 15 minute readings, and there's only 3 spots left. I think it's only 3 spots left. Hi, Jean. I'll be going live on Facebook with medium Kathy Behrens also on the 28th to give free readings and answer questions. Hi, Bunny. Hi, Stephanie. Hi, Ray Ball. Hi, Chris. Hi, Upside Down question mark. Hi, Barbie. Barb Young. Christy. Steph. Always. So Lorenda will be joining us in just a couple minutes. You can always subscribe to my YouTube channel. I have tons of free content there, and all my live replays are there. I plan... Everything's been a little crazy. Hi, Cindy. Oh, hello. Hi, Carol. Hi, Susie. Jen and her doodle. Hello. Used to be Byron's girl. Hi. Yeah, good comment. Haven't seen you in a while. I've been posting regularly. This app likes to select who they want to push out, and I'm not one of those people. So I have not gone live a lot because since August, I've moved across the country, started a new job, moved into a new house, still in the process of setting up my office. I've been sick with the flu. I've had an ear infection. I've had a sinus infection. I've been healthy for about 3 weeks now, and that's the longest time I've been healthy in a row since, right. Oh,
Hey there.
I don't know how to make you bigger on here.
I think you have to go down to the where it has 2 people.
Okay. Do you click on, let's see, host or guests? Let's see. Host with co-creators. You're not on that list. You might have to pop out.
I think. Hold on here.
Because you're already listed as guests.
Right. Well, because I think you can. But if we do a co-host, then I can't read your comments. You can't read mine.
Oh.
So I just have to be. I'm glad I looked because I was getting ready to set up mine. I think you can. If you hit that little box down there, it should give you the option of what type of boxes to do.
The interact or the show? Which one?
I don't know.
There's host and guest, but that's not it. More. No, settings, comment, about me. I don't think that's it. Let's see. No. I'm terrible at this.
I know, when I do mine, they automatically pop up.
Oh, I have to click your picture and click expand. Okay, there. Now I'm little.
Ooh, now I'm giant. You don't want that.
How are you feeling?
A mess, but it's fine. I'm good. I spent the day shopping. All right, I think you could change that just down to. No. Hold on. No.
Everybody, we're gonna get to questions and stuff. I just came on a couple minutes early because it usually takes a few minutes for people to start coming on here, as you know, on TikTok.
I'm trying to figure out how you should be able to do that same thing, but like less guests. We should be able to do side by side. We can always
I
just
can
go.
I can shrink you. There, you're shrunken now.
You just want me to go? We can like go just into my. Do you want to go into my live and I can add you? Would you want to do that? I don't know how to fix it from your end. I thought
You don't want to do a co-host?
if we do a co-host, we can't see each other's comments.
Oh, okay. So you want me to go off and join your live?
We can. I don't care. Like, unless there's a way for you to figure out how to do the side by side. I thought they automatically come in like that. Weird.
Let's see what they can't turn off your camera. No, I don't want to turn your camera off. Let's see what this does. I've done this before without these little squares. I
wonder if you
and I just updated my app just like right before.
Weird.
So
here, let me pop out and then pop and then have me come back in and see if it makes a difference.
Okay. Hi, Manny Maven. Hi, Alicia. Thank you for all the follows. Okay, let's see. I'm doing well. All right, you're still a little square.
I don't get it. You should be able to do side by side.
I know. Well, I have interact, and that's not it. Text, poll, draw, no. The sharing, the enhance, background. It's not background. Or effects.
So weird.
Mirror your video, mute, send gift, content disclosure, flip camera, mirror your video.
No. It'd be the settings of the little people.
There's plus guests.
Can you turn off the multi-guest?
Let's see. Disconnect all guests. I don't want to do that. Thanks for being patient, everybody. We're just trying to figure this out. Panel or grid? Switch. I don't. Yay. Oh, that's so much better.
Yay.
I don't remember what I clicked.
Well, it's fine.
But we got there.
It's fine.
I'm so sorry. I hope you have some hauls or something. I just went through something so
similar. I do. It's weird because it's just like a cold. It's all from here up, and I just get exhausted. And then you throw in shopping the week of Christmas.
Yep.
No amount of protection is gonna
help. No. And I work in a school, so I was just saying right before you popped on, I've caught every germ. I've been sick constantly since August 1st. I've been well for about 3 weeks. It's the longest I've been well since August. So it's been rough.
Wow.
But I'm here now. You're here. We're all here. I'm just now getting my office set up. If you saw the boxes I still have in here, it's, because we moved across the country from California, and it's been like,
It was kind of a whirlwind too. It was like, oh, I'm changing jobs and going to another state. Bye.
Yeah. It was just like that.
Hi, Cha-Cha.
Hi.
I love her.
I know, she's amazing. Let me turn my notifications off.
Yeah, I had to do that too.
All right. I'm so glad we're side by side. So hello, everybody. And if you have any mediumship questions, I would like to know your story about how you became a medium.
I was gonna say, I think we should probably just start with like, who are we? What are we doing here? And also, while we're talking, friends, you should all be tapping the screen and sharing the live. I'm gonna share that real quick to all.
So when I share, is there a way to share it to everybody, or I just have to click people?
You have to click each one of them, and then even then you only can do like 15 at a time. which is weird. She's over here. Yeah, because I can only do like,
Yeah, whoever's popping up, I'm just clicking till it stops me. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm stopped.
Yeah. So tap, tap, tap the screen, friends. Make sure you're sharing the live out with all your people.
I was doing a live on here because, you know, we both have, you and I think, have the exact same issue with this app.
Probably.
Because I think we've commented back and forth on some videos. I grew from 0 to 30,000 in a year, which I thought was amazing.
Right.
I never expected it.
Yeah.
And I was doing the same thing I'm doing now, you know, blah, blah, blah. I was posting 4 times a day, new content. And then in 2 years, I've gotten 7,000 total.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
I noticed that it's kind of like I get to a certain point on views and
Yep.
it just stops.
Yeah. 250 to 300.
Yeah.
Yep. And it's weird because I was just like experimenting when I was sick. I'm like, I take a lot of pictures of the sky, there's clouds, and I'll just type out, you know, a nice little message. And those will get 5, 6, 700 views. And I'm like, what's happening?
What? Right.
I was on here one day. I had 15,000 likes. So the people who were on here were clicking like crazy, and I had 10 viewers.
Isn't that
It was
insane?
like a Friday night.
Wow.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. So we shall see. So hello. Yeah, so I want to hear your Merry Christmas. I want to hear your story. How long have you been a medium? How did you become a medium? I would love to know.
Well, so I had started just learning tarot cards. I'd always been fascinated with mediums and psychics. And I remember when I was younger, just wishing I was psychic. I didn't know what that meant, but I wanted to know things. And I wanted to see dead people, but I didn't want to see them.
Right. I don't want to see him. I see him sometimes. I don't want to see him.
Right.
Especially
So,
in the middle of the night when I'm getting up to, you know.
right. Yeah. Like, no, thanks. No. So, I started doing, I went to my first psychic when I was 22, and she was like, you're gonna do what I do. I was like, no, I don't, no way. I'm not psychic. Like,
Right.
you know, and so over the years, I just kept having psychic after psychic after psychic tell me I was going to do that. Then finally one was like, just pick up some tarot cards and start learning them. I'm like, oh, my husband would hate that. She's like, then pick up playing cards and learn those. Like, oh, you could do that? I was so naive. I was so clueless about all of it, pardon me. And because I just thought in order to be psychic, because I followed John Edward, Sylvia Brown. I thought you literally had to actually, with your eyeballs,
okay.
see the unalive people. And I had no idea. And so fast forward all these years later, I start learning tarot, and I become a member to John Edwards Evolve, and I do Biddy Tarot. Like, I'm learning all these things. I'm like just obsessively learning, and then I start doing free readings for Biddy Tarot just so I could learn. And the more I did that, the more I was getting feedback, and then it was just kind of cool. And I started practicing on friends. I think I did free readings for people for like 5 years. And it was funny because I would have my book, and it would, like, highlighted things would jump off the page. Like, I would know what to say.
Interesting.
The tarot books are, like, especially the big ones, where they really deep dive into what tarot means and the numerology and the symbology. Well, I was like, well, there's like 500 meanings to this one card. It would literally jump, like, my eyes would see it jump off the page. And so at one point I remember telling a client, well, I mean, I only do tarot. I don't get messages or anything like that. And then all of a sudden I'm talking, my brain is going, what? I'm channeling. I had no idea.
Wow.
I was like, these are not my thoughts.
That's
but
awesome.
this is what I'm hearing, and so then then I asked for a sign. I was like, well, if I'm supposed to do this work, if I'm supposed to delve in and do this work as a medium, like learn how to, or to do this professionally, like all these people kept telling me I should, show me a sign. I won a free reading from some local thing, right? And I'm like, oh, that's cool. And they're like, you're going to do what I do. You are like, you're a medium. I'm like, no, I'm not, whatever, okay. They tell everybody that. And then, so I
Yeah.
told my friend, well, I guess, I don't know, that was a coincidence. 2 weeks later, I won another free reading with someone
Wow.
else who then also proceeded to tell me, and this was like on a radio station, I don't win things, and
Yeah.
proceeds to tell me, you're going to be a medium.
Spirits
Okay.
funny that way, aren't they?
They
They
are.
they are
And then I
funny that way.
turned to my friend and I said, well, I guess if John Edward or Sylvia Brown told me this, I'd have to listen. And then, so, I kid you not, a week later, I get a phone call from Kat, who is John Edward's assistant. Hi, this is Kat, and blah, 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 blah. Like, and you're part of the five. You're part of Evolve or the Five. It was called the Five at the time. And because that's what I've been using to like learn tarot and numerology and all these other things. And he chooses 5 people to give readings to for free per month. I've been on his wait list for like 8 years, I think. I don't know. And I was like, I did what? And he told me, the first thing he said, you do this, don't you? You're going to do what I do. So my business is now called Sign because I asked for that sign 3 times and even was very specific. I guess John Edward would have to tell me, and he did. And I'm like a super fan at this point.
Right.
He still doesn't know I actually exist, I don't think, because that was like 10, 11 years ago. But then the pandemic hit, and then I was able to start all the, like, Camp Chesterfield started offering online classes.
Awesome.
So I started doing classes through Camp Chesterfield.
I started my online classes at the very beginning of the pandemic as well.
Yeah, I had time.
And it was all just happened. I'll tell you my story, but it all.
Yeah, I didn't want to hear your story. So then I reached out to a friend of mine. I'm like, who lived at Camp Chesterfield. Turns out she was in my tap company. She's like, I live there. My wife's a medium. I'm like,
Wow.
shut up. Are you kidding me? And then, so I'm telling her wife how I read and how I do tarot. I'm like, I'm not a medium. Like, they keep telling me I am. And I said, every once in a while, like, I'll start talking and it's not my thoughts. And she's like, Lorenda, what do you think a medium is? And I said, well, you have to like see, right? She's like, no, that's not what a medium is.
That's funny.
Like, all these years into it, I'm thinking I have to actually physically see them. And so she sent me, and I said, okay, who do I need to take classes with? Who do I need to reach out to? And she set me up with who is now my mentor, Reverend Glenda, and that was a game changer. It was like it's like I've been being wound up,
Yeah,
and wound up and wound up, and then all of a sudden somebody said, "And go."
there you go. I feel very similar. That's similar to my story. But I want to answer a question real quick. Somebody asked the question, do we believe in a certain religion or are you spiritual without religion? So for me, I grew up and was baptized as a baby, a Catholic. And I have a lot of feelings about religious dogma. I have read the Bible. I believe Jesus was a real person. I believe in his message, the positive message of loving everyone, no matter what they choose, as long as they're harming no one. I believe in that message. Religious dogma is a totally different thing. I don't think religions are what they should be. They're very corrupted at this point, just like everything else in our world, right? Anything involving money is corrupted. If you have
Yes.
a lot of people and greed, you have corruption. So I practice my religion when I have to because I work for a Catholic school.
Interesting.
And so I have, again, a lot of feelings about different things. I'm not going to, I'm sure you're all aware.
But you know when to stand up and sit down. But you know what? Again, go back to John Edward.
I know the prayers.
Like John Edward is a Catholic and still prays the rosary daily.
To me, that's like meditation.
Exactly. And that's what he's talked about.
Yeah.
So
I think that meditation, praying the rosary, all of those things from different religions, spiritual practices, and even non-religion practices, they're all doing the same thing, quieting your mind and clearing your mind so you don't go crazy. So how about you, about religion?
I was my mom was always into psychics and stuff, but and she always knew things. She would have predictive dreams. She would always know things. Like she would know if we were doing something we weren't supposed to do. Like she had a sixth sense about a lot of things. But I just assumed all moms did. We were baptized not Catholic. We were baptized Presbyterian. For the most part, went to like little country Christian church, like non-denominational Christian. They weren't like over the top. But we were also in Danville, Indiana, where I'm sure there were a lot of things said that was just normal. They were probably not very good.
But you don't know any better. I've lived in small towns and big cities, and you don't know until you're older, like the Creationist Museum in Kentucky, people who go there. I'm a scientist. I don't know if you guys
Yes, you are.
see my degrees. I finally hung them up after years and years for the first time.
Yeah.
But that makes me crazy, the Creationist Museum.
I know. Well, and my dad grew up Catholic, so I did not like Catholics because I thought they were all hypocrites. But then fast forward, meet my husband, and I end up becoming Catholic because I was like, it's a beautiful religion. There was a lot to it that was still Christianity, but it was just weird. And I had a being who I swear was God himself came to me in a dream after I asked for a sign. And I was like, I guess I'm doing this. Like for 10 years, I would cry every time I think about that dream. So I knew I was supposed to walk that path, but now, like when my kids were through Catholic school, it's like, I'm done.
You know, the more
Yes, I am.
into my mediumship I become, my perspective just shifts constantly on like every day it's like a new awakening. So I know people are patiently waiting, so I'll tell you my story.
Yes, what are you?
So my mother, who passed in 1986, was also very psychic. She was not trained. She has not the best life story. She died very young. She was only 40. And she knew things. She had premonitions. She knew a month before she was passing away. She said, I'm going to die soon. She told me that sitting in the living room. And 1 month later, on April Fool's Day, ironically, she passed away.
Oh my gosh.
And just suddenly. And so she had the gift. I mean, I could tell you, and I've told the story before. One time we were sitting in the living room. I'm not sure how old you are, but we used to watch this show called Soap. It was a nighttime like farce about soap operas, and they had a demon baby, and watching that episode.
Oh gosh, I haven't even thought about that in so long.
And my mom was reading a UFO book, and I was sitting next to her. All the lights were on, and we had this heavy piece of furniture with a drawer, and our dog was we had a big German Shepherd laying underneath it. And there we had my sister and her boyfriend were there, and the drawer in the middle of the episode shot out into the middle of the living room floor over the dog.
Wow.
We're still family friends with my sister's boyfriend's family.
Mm,
And he still gets freaked out to this day. Because there was, people are like, maybe the dog did it. I'm like, the dog was still laying there.
right.
When it happened, it didn't go on top of the dog, it flew over the dog. So stuff like that happened a lot. And we just thought, okay, that's crazy. What are you going to do about it?
Yeah,
So
right.
weird stuff like that kind of happened through my life. And I always had claircognizance. And for anybody who doesn't know and who's learning, that's just knowing, like you said, your mom had.
And
I
yeah,
know things. I've always known things. And
I was the
I
same way,
thought,
but I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know that meant anything.
I
I thought
didn't
that was
either.
funny.
That's what I thought. I thought, oh,
Yeah.
everybody's like that. And I was shocked to find out when I got trained and somebody asked who my teacher was. It was Danielle, the Happy Medium in the UK. Um, I had no idea that that's not normal.
Yeah. I usually get in trouble because I'm in my 50s, Gen X.
Oh, yeah.
Wait,
53. I just turned 53.
it did not behoove you to finish adults' sentences
No,
or
absolutely
to
not.
tell you what they were thinking.
Right. And it made me kind of the black sheep of my family. Like my dad's still not a fan. Never really has been. So,
Yeah.
so I had all those weird things happening, my whole life. I dabbled in tarot briefly when my kids were little. They're adults now.
Mhm.
Briefly, but my kids were little and it's just too much with two toddlers, and then they go to school and la 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 life,
Yeah.
life, life. And I had an experience, and next month marks 5 years since this happened. Um, my sister called me and said, and for those of you who know this story, I apologize for repeating it again.
I don't know the
I
story,
have
so I'm like,
permission from the people, the family, to share the story. I had a friend I hadn't seen in a long time since she had her baby, Brandon, 25 years ago now, 30 years now. And my sister said, Brandon died. And as soon as she said it, now I hadn't seen the mom or the baby in 25 years. As soon as she said it, in my head, heroin overdose just popped in my head. I knew nothing about them at all
right.
since a baby. And then about 20, 30 minutes later, I'm like, it's nap time. So I was going to go lay down. And it's daylight, and I'm laying there less than 30 seconds. And in my mind's eye, Brandon, with his short black hair, his red sweater, and his gold chain, says, as clear as if he was standing in front of me, tell my mom I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do it.
Oh
And I was
my gosh. Right. I don't.
sure thing. I didn't even know what to think or do, or am I crazy? Like for a while I thought I'm just crazy.
I'm just
And
making this up.
so I couldn't go to sleep after that, obviously. And so I called my sister and I, told her what happened. And then I got a hold of the mom. And then a few days later, come to find out he did pass from an overdose. And so I was like, wow, that was crazy. And I just blew it off. A couple months later, my son's girlfriend's grandma, who I was close to, and there's, we're still family, basically. She had a head injury and she passed away. And the day she passed away, my son was there with her in her home. And she was like in hospice care in her home. And she kept showing me this red heart in my mind's eye, just this blasting my head with this red heart, just blasting it. I couldn't think, I couldn't do anything. Like, this was a very strong woman in life. And,
It typically transcends.
it came through
They are.
the day she passed. For those of you wondering if people can come through the day they pass, yes, it's
Yes.
just waiting. The 3 to 6 months is for you, not for them.
Right.
And if anybody's told you they're stuck,
Wrong.
they're lying. They want you to pay them to unstuck someone that's not stuck.
Correct.
So she's blasting this red heart, and I could see like her picture or her name or something, and I wasn't trained, so I had no idea what was happening. So I texted my son, And I said, oh my God, Dottie keeps showing me this red heart, and it's either on a square or a rectangle and a red heart and a square. And 5 seconds later, he texts me a picture of this red heart he had just picked up because she just passed like that moments prior to this.
Right.
And he texts me the picture of this red heart. That's her keychain he picked up out of the square box on her nightstand right after she passed away. And I'll never forget it. I was standing in the kitchen and my knees buckled and I had to grab the counter because I thought, this is something that I need to, this is not going to get less crazy.
This is not going away.
I'm going to get more crazy. So, I need to either find a psych ward or somebody that can teach.
Right.
Because I'd watched John Edward and loved him. I read Sylvia Browne's books years ago,
Right.
and all of this, the Long Island Medium, but I never thought I could really be a medium.
Right. And here we are, and we have our own show.
Yeah, we're doing our show now. So I went on YouTube because I didn't know what else to do. And I started looking up. I wasn't even really 100% sure what to type in. And I found several people. And then I found my teacher, Danielle, the Happy Medium, and I just resonated with her immediately. And she was just real and normal and truthful. And just, she can teach in 10 minutes more stuff than some of the people who I listened to for hours. And I was like, this is the one for me because I'm too old to sit for 10 hours to learn one fact. I want to learn 500 facts in 10 minutes.
10 minutes. Yeah.
Let's get it. Let's do it. And so I took a bunch of classes with her over probably, I think, 2 years. And I'm a professional medium probably for at least 3 years now, I would say. I think approximately ish, give or take. I know it was before I started TikTok. And that's been almost 3 years. So, yeah, it was crazy. It was a unexpected change of trajectory in my life for sure.
Well, and what I love though is I'm not a scientist, but I'm very scientific minded. Like I want to be, I'm not one that was like, I do the meditation to feel the guides and I'm like, okay, cool, do it again. And do it again. Like I want the confirmation. I want evidence there. And even when I'm doing readings for people, I'm like, no, don't be coming at me with grandma's apple pie.
Yeah.
No, give me the non-Googleable, non-obvious things.
Exactly. I was doing a reading yesterday and we got some questions coming in.
Yeah.
I was doing a reading yesterday and, I do art as well as science because I kind of like meditate through art. And that's a whole other story with my art and meditation and the spirit world. But so now I've started drawing while I do readings, not just like scratching paper, but like things come out in drawings. And yesterday I was doing this reading and I start drawing these dots and these little stars and it looks like the night sky. And I said, your loved one said, you're the star in his night sky. And I held the picture up and she said, oh my God, that's my tattoo that she got in his honor. And I was like, oh my God. When you get evidence like that.
You can't be all like, what? That's great. You'd be like, well, I know.
Sometimes I get shocked at my own evidence. Do you ever have that happen? Like it's so bizarre.
Yes. Well, I'll get random. A lot of times it'll come from me in the form of songs.
I'm a big music person as well.
I am too. Yeah. Well, with me being dance, like my whole life was in choreography musicals and show choir. Like it's all music. My whole life is music. And I find that they'll bring specific song lyrics through. And they'll show me images, but I know I'm not drawing anything. I'm not drawing anything. I'll write things down, but I don't draw. But I do, yeah, that is wild. Like when there are certain things you're like, you want to say, I don't know why I'm getting this impression, or I don't know what this means, because I tell all my students, you're not allowed to say what you don't know. Don't say what you don't know. But sometimes I'll get there and go, all right, they're showing me a da 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 da.
Right.
It'll be
Exactly.
that
And
too,
to
or it'll
you, it
be
doesn't make sense, but to them, they're like, oh, I totally know what that means.
the more random it is to me, usually the bigger the evidence it is to them.
I
So
agree with that.
yeah,
I
yeah.
agree with that. So we've got some stuff coming in. How do you find out if you even have, oh, I think, how do you find out if you even have a gift? Where does one start? Well, I would say, have you ever had any paranormal experiences, knowing things before they happen, precognitive dreams, dreaming of something that happened the next day?
I feel like we all have it.
Yeah. Oh, I agree.
It's just a matter of, are we supposed to use it? Or how are we supposed to use it?
And are we willing to use it? I have
And are we willing to put in the work?
the work and do it ethically. I know you and I are on the same page about that. These people, I have someone very close and dear to me who I love very much, who's had experiences since they were a very tiny child. And I said to him, you know, you are incredibly connected to spirit. And he's had a near-death experience and things. And he said to me, he's young, he's in his 20s. He said, if I use it now, I'll use it for evil. So I don't want to do it and he doesn't mean evil. He just means
for not the right reasons.
Not the right reasons. Because he's not an evil person, but I was glad that he knows better. He said, I need to grow up some more before I do that.
Yeah. And that takes a lot of wherewithal to even just to know that.
I was like, wow.
You have to be able to check in with yourself and know, like, you know, if you're in a position to do that, would you? And I firmly believe, like, I've known people that have used the gift of the connection and maybe it comes easier. Like, I've got a friend who was like just a natural born medium, meaning they always had connection and saw things and knew things and felt things, and they were very aware of it. And they've never developed. And they're the first ones, and they're the first ones to be like, well, they're stuck. We have to cross them over. I'm like, did you not take Mediumship 101?
No, and I want to say this to everyone, and some people are, I don't know, can you see all the comments? They're talking about orbs around you.
Oh,
I want to say. I don't
think it's orbs. I think it's my Kleenex. Oh. I have like a lot of lint in here from all my Kleenex. But every once in a while we will see orbs in here. They do hang out.
Yeah, I agree. And there's a couple things about that. Sometimes orbs are orbs and sometimes they're camera reflections.
Yeah.
But there are a lot
of fuzzies floating around right in here. Yeah. So that's probably what you're seeing. Okay.
She said it's zigzagging.
Tracy's one of my regular people, so she's used to seeing them kind of. Oh, okay. I will get orbs that are like,
watch out. So to everybody on here, first, don't put a lot of personal information in the chat. Scammers just sit on here silently and they don't comment, and then they take what you say and they send you a private message and they scam you for money. An ethical medium is never going to send you a private message and say, I get messages from mediums that see my energy, blah, 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 you know, the story.
I get them from my fake accounts. They'll message me and I'll be like, really?
Because they're just copying and pasting to everybody they can find. So ethical mediums don't do that. If you ever want a reading, you need to contact the medium, go straight to their website, check their credentials. make sure you have the right profile, because I'm sure you have copycats too. I have a bunch of copycats.
After
TikTok
page.
doesn't take them down. You can report them and report them and report them, and they won't take them down. But they'll sure stop a live if somebody reports some random thing about it.
Or
So,
if AI picks up something random, they'll shut it down.
mhm. So be careful what you put in the chat. Let's see.
Expect he's been deceived. Oh my gosh, that's the worst. Yeah, they are. They are terrible.
The love doctor
Oh, yeah, love
scammers.
doctor. Oh my gosh, and I fully believe that that's why my followers have pretty much like leveled out, because every new follower I get now, 9 times out of 10, it's a scam account, and I go look, and if
I don't
it's
even
not
have
legit,
time to look. Because I work all the time.
yeah.
I don't have time to look. I should probably go through, and I imagine 50% or more are
Oh,
fake
yeah.
bots.
And I haven't gone through like all my old, at this, maybe like, I don't know, 3 or 4 months ago, I was like, that's it. Every single one, every follower I get from here on out, I'm going to double check and see. And just to make sure, yeah.
I would like your opinion on
Yeah.
Wounded Womb Warriors question, but I would say I have seen accounts on here. They'll have, 4 or 5,000 followers, and every video they have has 100,000, 200,000 views. I'm like, how is that possible? Like,
I know.
and then an account that has, 4 million followers and their videos have 300 views. And I'm like, can you buy followers? Like, do people?
You can actually.
Oh, that's how that
You
happens.
can buy, yes.
Because I get, what was I going to say? Something about followers. I don't remember. It just went right out of my head. And somebody said those are just reposts. Oh, yeah. I think somebody told me that.
Yeah, you can repost stuff now. You can, so I mean,
I don't even know how to do that.
um,
Like, besides the just repost, but it doesn't go on my profile.
yeah, I don't know. There's so much I don't know because I don't have the interest
Yeah,
or
I don't either.
to deep dive into it.
Yeah.
Honestly, I use TikTok as it is a great marketing tool. It's been a great marketing tool, but also, I mean, I guess if I wanted it to be big business for me, I'd be charging on here, but I don't.
Yeah, I don't charge. I never charge on here.
No.
If I like maybe got laid off from my job, God forbid, and I had to do that, I would, but I have a job and
It's
I don't, yeah.
and what I have found is people who, when you see people switch from, and this is not every single person, when you see people make this shift a lot of times from I'm quitting my job and I'm going to do mediumship full time because they have such a great following or whatever. It's kind of like, it's like you're going and going and going. All of a sudden, when it's your rent that's on the line,
Yep.
I tell people all the time, like TikTok is great. It's a great resource, but I had a clientele that I built over years time before I ever like local, and I put the time in doing festivals and getting myself out there and getting connected. But
Yeah,
just
that's
because you go on
awesome.
TikTok, the day you have to pay your rent.
I have a friend who's a medium, and this person is on TikTok, and they had a good career. And a couple years ago, I think right when the pandemic was ending, they quit their job, a good job, because they were doing so well with their mediumship. And now, like you said, they're struggling sometimes to pay their rent. And I've wanted to quit my job 100 times in the last couple of years, but everything's so weird and unpredictable right now that it's like,
Yeah.
spirit wants me to do that because my job is important. I am educating kids, and I feel like that's important. And if I didn't have to deal with the adults there, I'd be fine.
Right. The kids are awesome. That's how it is with dance also. The kids are
Exactly.
awesome.
So this person, I was having a conversation with them and they were like, look, it's too risky right now.
It
It's
is.
too risky.
Well, like my readings completely dry up in December
Yeah.
because
Hmm.
people are not buying things for themselves,
Hmm.
and it's too weird to buy a reading for your relative, you know,
Yeah.
But
I have noticed over the last, I guess, 3 Decembers, because the first December I was doing this, I was so stressed. Why isn't it? Because I would get booking, and then, and I'm like, what's wrong with me? And then I'm like, oh, it's December.
it's December.
And now this month, I'm just like, whatever. If I get them, I get them. If I don't, I don't. They'll come back
Yeah, it's
eventually.
yeah. Well, and I focus my energy knowing, looking at the trends because I'm a business person. I own two other businesses besides this. So I look at trends. I look at things like that.
Mhm.
I'm like, well, yeah, December's going to dry up. So how do I help that? Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I'm going to teach classes, and that's made a big difference. And just keeping things going and moving
Yeah.
forward. Nobody's
I
getting
teach
rich
I
over
teach
here.
classes, but sometimes the students aren't, it's hard for me when they start out really, really like excited and then like they don't practice or they don't do their homework. And it's like,
Right.
you're paying me to teach you and you're not doing the work. Why are you doing
Yeah.
that? So I have a
And
new
that's
beginners
why,
class in March, I think. I think it starts in March.
but I think this goes, I want mine to buy my classes. Um, I feel like this is why there aren't just a ton of practicing mediums because once people are like, oh, well, we all have a gift, so I'll just take classes and learn. And then they realize, oh, this is a lot of work.
It
It's a lot
is.
of practice. And you
It
have to
takes a
be
lot of
disciplined.
emotional energy.
It does.
And when I do my readings and I have the correct connection with spirit,
Mm-hmm.
I get very hyper after my
Yeah.
readings. Like I get really hot during my readings and I get really hyper and cold after. I don't know why. That's just what happens. And I don't get physically exhausted, but mentally, if I do like 6 or 7, mini readings in a row or whatever,
Right.
then I'm like, all right, I need a break. I need to
Yeah.
just watch. But I have a question up here from Wounded Womb
Yes.
Warrior. She wants to know, because I've answered her
Oh,
question
yes.
before in another live. Can you talk about dementia and spiritual experiences?
Oof. I've seen a wide range of that.
Okay.
I've actually, in readings, had people who are still alive come through in reading.
Yes.
Me thinking, oh, they're on the other side
Mm-hmm.
because it's their higher self,
Mm-hmm.
because their body is just kind of like, giving out.
Mm-hmm.
And so their higher self will come through. So when people are like, "Oh, she's crazy. She tried to tell me my grandmother who's still alive is coming through," I'm like, it's legit, especially dementia, because
Mm-hmm.
they're still a soul, and they're like, okay, well, you rest. I'm gonna go over here for a little bit until my body's done. Like they still have work to do, so they do it.
I agree with that. I agree with that. I think that when my father-in-law was sick he passed in 2007, he had dementia, and he was talking to people who had passed 30, 40 years ago. And I wasn't a medium at all.
Right.
And I said to my husband and my brother-in-law, who was a minister, he's also passed now. I said, do you think that when we have dementia, our brain is free to travel back and forth to the spirit world and back? And I didn't really know what I was talking about. But now that I've done so many readings and had experiences with so many people who have had dementia or have a loved one with dementia, I realized that is exactly what's happening. And
Yeah.
I think people who are aware still that they're getting cognitive and neurological issues and who are already had some weird stuff before, like spiritual experiences, they're like, okay, I can sense energy of people. I'm picking up on things I wasn't before because their brain's not so clogged up with all the other stuff,
Right.
all the daily stuff. They're more free. I think maybe, who knows, but that makes sense to me.
Yeah, it does. It makes absolute sense.
Um,
Interesting. I met them at
someone,
Canada's. They do local fairs in the Midwest. Wait, who'd you meet, Lindsay? I missed that.
um,
Is it me? I know local people who are
Jennifer or
nonverbal.
Jen.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I know who you're talking about. I know you're talking about, Lindsay. There's a family that has one or two non-verbal. I can't remember. I was one year. I was two tables down from them, but I was so slammed that I never even got down to talk to anybody. That's the one thing that I don't like about fairs is I sit down, and because I'm one of very few actual mediums,
Mhm.
they're like, you got your astrologers, you've got your palm readers, you got all these other people, and the crystals,
Right.
crystals. Very few mediums are at these events. And the second I sit down, like if I try to go to the bathroom, panic ensues.
Yeah.
And I go from beginning till close, so I don't get to go around. But I know, Lindsay, I know who you're talking about, that family with the nonverbal, and I've heard amazing things about them. But I've never gotten a chance to interact with them. So if you've seen them, I've probably been there, which is
That's
interesting.
awesome. Jennifer or Jen, but never Jen, wants to know what's an average class or mentorship cost? For me, my beginners start at $120 per class for 6 months, up to my advanced, which is $150 per class for 6 months. I do one-on-one. I like to cap it at 6 people. I don't like to have more than that. I don't like the pre-recorded classes that people send out and charge thousands of dollars for.
No.
I like very small classes. I don't need to teach 1,000 people. That's too many. And what else was I going to say? So I like to keep it small and personal. And there was something else I was going to say, but what about you?
Mine vary. I just started teaching workshops a couple years ago, like 1 day workshops, like Spirit 101, and they're like 2 and 3 hours. Just basically, here's from a spiritualist teaching, this is what a spirit guide is. This is how
Right.
you identify them, teaching the basic nuts and bolts, and then give homework. And if they're interested, they're going to start working on that. Then they're going to circle back around and talk to me
Right.
again.
Yeah, I do the one. That was what I was going to say. The one-on-one.
Yeah.
I have one-on-one, like individual classes. Those are an hour and a half, $150. And then I do the workshops, which are usually like an hour and a half. I have about 10 people in there, and they're like $25. They're,
Yeah.
really
So,
inexpensive.
yeah, and this is what I usually tell people. Either take one of the one-off workshops. My workshops are anywhere from $40 to $60, depending on how long it is and what the content is. Now, I did a platform mediumship class that was it was over 4 weeks, and it was 2 hours. It was always longer, 2.5 hours each time. And that was a ton of information, and that was like $400. Now, my circle, I tell people, if you want to do a circle, that's a perfect way for you to be around people who are at different levels.
Mm-hmm.
You'll learn how to tap in. You'll learn, oh, thank you, Kristen. I love Kristen. She's local here. And those are just $25. There's no long-term commitment to those, and those are all online, a few things. You're welcome, Lindsay. You're welcome. And so it all varies, but I'm in the process. Spirit's telling me I need to get my act together and be a little more organized with my classes.
Me too.
So, but I also own a dance studio, and I teach 4 nights. I teach 3 nights a week at my studio, and I'm a sub on call, whenever that happens. And then I own a tap company, and we rehearse on Fridays. So like I got a lot of irons in the fire, and I'm like, oh sure, I'll just throw in some more classes to teach.
I'm in a very similar situation because
Yeah.
I teach full time and then I work for a nonprofit Humans to Mars exploration organization, and that takes up a lot of my time. So, yeah. So I could have never done this when my kids were little. I think I said that
No.
earlier. Somebody asked me. I had two boys. I could have never ever done all of this then.
Yeah.
But now someone asked me the other day, I made cookies and took them to work for my, friends at work because my kids are grown and I don't have anybody to make Christmas cookies for. And my friend at work goes, how do you have time to cook? I go, because my kids don't live with me.
I'm not doing, there's no more PTO, there's no more baseball practice, soccer practice, dance
Oh, the
classes.
practices and the games. Two boys, they're 21 months apart. And oh my God, I've been to more sporting events. And so now I feel like I've got tons of free time, even with, having three jobs, I still have time
You
to
still have
spend.
extra time. And I do have time. I just have to, sometimes I have to force myself to do things when I could have downtime. And I'm like, I really want to take a nap right now. But I think what I'll have to do is go ahead and put all the information in my QuickBooks. Maybe run the business side.
You're organized enough to have QuickBooks. I just put everything in a spreadsheet.
Well,
Someone
a lot of
asked,
times
how
it's
do
spreadsheet.
we juggle it all? Well, I prioritize sleep because I have Hashimoto's disease. And if I don't get sleep, it's a whole disaster. And then I miss weeks of work and it's a problem.
It's
So
not good.
first I prioritize sleep. I think my ability to do a million things at once is a trauma response from my childhood, having to keep up. Got to do everything. I got to do it all.
And our generation was taught if you're not being productive, you're being lazy.
Lazy.
There is no rest.
There is no rest.
You rest when you
Do you
are
know
on.
my dad?
Yeah, it might be related to my mom. I don't know.
That was my dad. Every second of the day, you better be doing
Never
something.
doing something.
Yeah.
And my husband is still that way. I'm like, dude, sit down. You're making me feel guilty.
Oh, my husband's that way. He must have run around constantly. Do. I'm like, dude, I'm taking a nap. And I will do a nap before I do my paperwork.
Well, because sometimes I got really bad ADD. And so if I sit down and if I'm overdone, that paperwork's not getting done anyway. I'm going to sit there like this.
Yep.
It's not getting done anyway.
Dawn. Hi, Dawn. How did I find out I have that? Okay, so how I found out I had Hashimoto's disease, and I know this is a little off topic, but it's affected my life for a long time. Before I got pregnant with my first son, I had a hyperactive thyroid. I could eat 20,000 piles of cake and lose 10 pounds, and it didn't matter. I was skinny as a rail. I was athletic. I was active, all of that. I got pregnant with my son, and for 4 months, I threw up 24 hours a day. Like constantly. I lost like 10 or 15 pounds in the first 4 months. Then all of a sudden, one day, I found a big nodule on my neck. And I didn't know anything. There was no internet in the 90s, like 1996 is when this was. And I thought, I have a tumor. Oh my God. I didn't even know what a thyroid was at the time. And I went to the doctor. I'm pregnant. I gained 60 pounds in 5 months. Yep. I wasn't, doing anything to cause that. I just, 60 pounds. Yeah. So I had to have this aspirated and pull to see if it was cancer or not. And it's not, thank God. I hope it's still not. I haven't had it aspirated in a long time. But blood work. So I had Hashimoto's causes extreme fatigue, bouts of fatigue, especially if you're not properly medicated. And that was a whole other challenge, getting the proper medication. So it's blood tests. And most doctors and I get very passionate about this because I've struggled with it for a long time. Most doctors will only test your TSH and tell you it's normal and ignore you and give you some Synthroid and send you on your way. But it's so much more complicated than that. When you have symptoms to where you think you're going to crash your car on your way home from work, even though you slept 8 hours the night before and you can't stay awake long enough to drive 30 minutes, that's a problem.
That's a problem.
And that's what my fatigue was so severe. And I get full body swelling where my whole body swells up. And it's just inflammation, severe inflammation. So,
Wow.
but I'm medicated and somewhat normal now. I still have bouts of fatigue if I overdo it, but otherwise I'm, okay. But it's a long road.
It's a long process. You just have to like really do your research. And now, luckily, there is a lot more internet access to stuff like that.
And a lot of thyroid, a lot of Hashimoto's groups, people who help each other. That's what saved me.
Yeah. Somebody asked, okay, so Sassy Ray of Sunshine said, to find a mentor, do you find someone really, how do you find someone you resonate with?
I just scoured the internet when I found mine.
I had a recommendation through Camp Chesterfield, and she was one of the top dogs through Camp Chesterfield. And I reached out to her, and before she took me on as a student, she's like, take some classes. She got me started in some development classes, and then she was like, game on, let's do this. And now I mentor one-on-one. But you have to like talk to them. You should have a reading from them to make sure you like their reading style. And no, this is not a sales pitch for either one of us either.
I didn't even know enough to ask my mentor for a reading before I took her class. That's how ignorant I was. I knew nothing.
I was lucky enough at that point that I had done a lot of research, and John Edward told me, you're going to have a mentor, you're going to do all these things. I'm like, haha, it's funny.
Spirit just does what it.
And it all aligned right at the right time. And sometimes it's timing. And I will say it wasn't until my kids were older and a lot more independent, and I was no longer driving them everywhere, that I could have the mental, physical, and spiritual capacity. I had been book learning. I'd been reading and doing tarot and learning symbols and learning signs and studying on John Edwards' site, on Biddy Tarot's site. I've been doing a lot of studying. So academically, I knew kind of what needed to be done. And I'm like, I got nothing here on the whole how to control it. Because I could be doing a tarot reading, and all of a sudden I'm speaking from, and I'm like, I feel like that shouldn't be happening. I feel like I should have more control than that. And, and so that's when I was like, okay, it's time. And when I found my mentor, if it's meant to be, you will find your mentor.
Someone asked a question. Do you ever get spirits come to you and you try to seek out their family members they want to?
Absolutely not.
I'm
not going to get some rando spirit and then just get in the phone book and try to find them.
Yeah, I'm not even really sure exactly what the question actually means.
So say you have a dream about, now if it's someone I know, I might reach out to them. Or what I'll do, because I'm scientifically minded, I'm going to say, all right, that was a cool dream. That was a cool impression. If I'm supposed to reach out to them, I'm going to need you to show me another sign. And I get real specific about the sign that I want, and in a timeline. And by God, if it shows up, then I honor it. But I have a rule: 3 times, then I will make the next step. But honestly, that's happened like once, and it was someone I knew.
I've only had it happen once, and it was somebody I knew, and it was someone I worked with at a Catholic school. But I didn't know she's an atheist, so she didn't believe anyway. And I didn't know her father was passed, and I had just met her mother, and I was, her dad came through to me so strong. And normally I never, if it comes through, I don't ask. If spirit wants them to get a reading, they'll make it possible from me or someone else. But I just felt so compelled because I know this woman well enough to know she needs this healing desperately because of her lifestyle. And so I said to her, I said, hey, and in the course of the conversation, I found out her dad had passed, but I knew, but I didn't know. And I said, I'm a medium and I don't ever ask people this, but your dad came to me really strong in a dream and I just feel like I need to get you a message. And she said, I'm an atheist. I don't believe in that. And I never said another word to her again. We worked together for a couple of years after that. And that's fine. And we're still friends, but I just felt so strong that she needed that. And I still feel like she could use that, but
I think at some point,
Yeah.
what's going to happen is at some point in her life, something else is going to happen and she's going to go, oh, and you're going to get a phone call.
Yeah.
Like it'll come around and not everybody's ready for it. And
not everybody's ready.
And that's what I tell, like, that's one of the boundaries with spirit,
I have a question. Julia, you can email me. All my stuff's in my bio. I haven't even posted the new class on the website yet because it's been the holidays. What is your opinion on, there's a famous medium who used to have a TV show who would do cold readings in public places. I hope that was pre-planned.
It's all staged.
Okay,
I can tell you right now it's staged because I've done reality TV.
Right?
I've done reality TV. You can't just put someone on TV without getting disclaimers up front and like liability forms. So they'll say like even
hi Bobby,
like they will stage reactions, like they will stage things, and it maybe there was a genuine connection. Like, oh, I see that person. You go approach them and see if it's okay, but they go in and scout people first. They don't.
Yeah, I would think that it's totally unethical, in my opinion, just to walk up to somebody and give them a reading, somebody you don't know, because what if they're severely traumatized? Yeah.
Can you imagine had you just dropped that reading on your coworker? She'd been like,
yeah,
no.
Yeah.
Why are you talking to me?
I wouldn't even mention it to anybody because that's happened. I was sitting in a meeting. I was sitting in a meeting with my boss at school. This was about 2-3 years ago. And her grandmother appeared over her shoulder in the meeting. And there's no way on earth I could have mentioned it. I would have been fired on the spot. I'm like, in my head, I don't even know what she said to the lady in person. I don't know what she said because the grandma was trying to talk to me. And I'm like, look, this is not the time.
Not the time.
This is not the time. I cannot give her this message. Please, if you want her to have this message, you have to make it possible when it's not during work hours. Maybe by somebody who doesn't work for her. Because she would have thought I was crazy, for sure. That's the type of personality she was.
Yeah. And it's just not, I don't know. I mean, it's just like, if I walk up to somebody and be like, hey, do you tap dance? Do you want to take a lesson right now?
Yeah. Like me, hey, you want to learn about cellular respiration, right?
Well, and I also had a friend who is very good, like natural medium, no training, more damage than good. Like we're not friends anymore because she's so toxic and so bad.
I just had to break up with a friend for that reason.
But she would walk up to people in metaphysical stores, just assuming that they were open to it, and be like, I feel like your daughter's been kidnapped.
Oh my God.
Like say that to someone. Or like, is your mother dying of cancer? I'm like, you can't, that's not an opening line. Like, you can't do that. And she would do that with stuff all the time. But of course, every reading she did, everyone was getting divorced, everyone had cancer, everyone was on the brink of death. And
I have a friend from a circle when I was developing who was on the negative end, and I had to block her because of that. Somebody is asking, so if
Oh,
I'm in the
Tracy.
learning,
Yeah, Tracy's one of my students, so this is a good
okay,
learning moment. So
okay,
Tracy, no, you keep it to yourself. Unless, like, if I'm with my, I always joke because I'm like with my friends, I don't ever consume alcohol and do readings. But I joke because I'm like, unless I'm hanging out with my girlfriends and they're like, uh-oh, 3 drinks in, who's pregnant next? And I'm like, oh, that's so funny. Angela. That's different. But it's different when it's in a social setting and it's someone you know that may be asking, but that you have the ability. I don't just get random spirits that come up and like start talking to me or
because
showing me
we
stuff.
learn boundaries when we get trained.
And
And
and that's just
that's
it. I started mediumship in the beginning. When I first got that hit of channeling, I was like, oh, no, no, we're not doing it. Now I do trance mediumship and I do trance channeling and inspirational speaking. I do that, but I was properly trained.
yeah,
I was properly trained. And if it's a friend and it's someone that knows you and knows you're going through this, you could say, would you be open to a message? Or would you be open to a conversation about this? Because I feel like I'm being impressed by something. Would you mind talking it out with me? And you could use it as a learning moment if you know that person. Grandma at the grocery store, probably not a good idea.
right. Hi, Rocket City, Michelle.
Hi, Michelle. How are you?
Um, I I do not like giving readings to people that I'm close to because
I don't either.
I feel like I know so much about them and they're going to think I'm a fraud anyway because
Right.
I just I have a daughter-in-law who I love. She's the most amazing woman. She's perfect for my son. She's incredible in every way. And she's asked me for so long for a reading and I just feel like I just can't do it. And I told her about a year ago, I'm like, I just feel like I don't know if I can make the connection just because
I,
we're so close and I know so much about you and I know your family and I've known them for years and years. And then I told her, I told my son, please tell her I'll do the reading. And then we never did it. And actually, we're leaving at 6 o'clock in the morning to go see them. So, well, we don't want to hit traffic. We're driving.
right.
So, um,
So this is how I cross that bridge though. If I do have some friends that started out as not close friends but have evolved into close friends, they're like, "Hey, I need a reading." I'm like, "Well, I bet you do." But this is what I do. I tell spirit because I'm like, I don't want to know your person. I probably know a lot already,
yeah.
or I'm going to assume that the symbols I'm getting mean
Mhm.
something and
Yeah.
they may mean completely different. So
Hmm.
what I'll do is I will pull tarot cards for them and I'll tell spirit, help me pull the cards that I can translate. I can tell them the direct message of what they mean and let them discern what it means. So I don't let them ask me the question. I'll say, okay, focus your question.
Hmm.
I'll lay out the cards. I'll tell them what each card means in its position. And then 9 times out of 10, it's a successful reading. But it's what I call my print material. Like if when I worked for Clinique for like 8 years, I I could look at a person and go, they'd be like, I'm dry. They may have acne with dry skin and they're trying to put lotion on. And I'm like, you're probably type 4, skin type 4. You need something that's oil controlling and then something that's going to gently exfoliate, da 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 da. But unless I had that piece of paper that said, this is what it says right here, la la la
Yeah.
la la la. This is you in print. Then they go, oh, okay. But if I just say it, who am I?
Right.
But
My
if it's
husband says
direct,
that same thing. He's like, if a famous person is saying, he talks about sports a lot. And he's like, if Kobe Bryant was telling somebody about basketball, blah, 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 versus and charging, $10,000, and I could say the same exact thing, nobody's going to pay me $100 for the same exact information
correct.
because if you're not
Because you're not Kobe.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So Tracy has another question. Oh, Rocket City Medium said, I refer them to mediums I
Yeah. I
trust.
do the same thing.
Yeah.
Like when my mom wants a reading, especially if I know she's missing my grandparents, her parents, they come around me all the time. I feel them all the time. And I'll text her and be like, all right, grandma's here. She's doing this, this, and this. She loves that. But when if I'm going to tune in, I don't do that because also I'm still grieving the loss of my grandparents. I know my mom is grieving, so it's not appropriate. I don't think it's appropriate for me to connect and do that. But I will send her to mediums I truly trust. And
Yes,
she's
I
so
do
grateful
that.
for that.
I've referred my sister to a couple of mediums.
Uh-huh.
She's my younger sister, so I've known her literally every day of her life. And
Right.
so I've given her readings when I was practicing before I,
Yeah.
came up.
I did say with like my mom, my relatives, they were
Yeah.
like, yeah, we'll sit here and check it out.
Yeah.
You know,
Other than classes, how do I know if my information is correct about a loved one? I know this is your student, but I would say you have to have validation. For example, one time I'm giving a reading and I was working on my clairvoyance outside of my head, and I saw projected on the wall in front of me a birth certificate. And in my head, I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. This has nothing to do with the reading. But I've learned through experience, like you said earlier, say the most random thing. And I said, I see a birth certificate, and I don't remember how I phrased it. And she goes, I know exactly what that is. He's not sure who his real father is, and the wrong name was on the birth certificate or something to that effect. And they were researching it prior to his passing, blah, 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 blah. So you have to have validation from someone, because there's a guy on here who I stopped following, who talks about you can be your own medium, you can be your own medium. And my response to him was, but how do you know you're not deluding yourself? You have to have validation
you
from
do.
someone. Even if you make I make connections with my mom all the time. She's been with me since her passing. I know it. But I'm not asking her, should I buy that house? Should I take that job? Because I'm going to interfere with the answer.
Yeah.
Because
Right.
I know myself well enough to know I'm stubborn. And I'm
Yes.
gonna, so, but there are things like my spirit guide. Like you were talking earlier about testing, and getting signs. So when I first started my mediumship, I thought spirit guides was a bunch of malarkey.
I've always known I had them. That's what's crazy is I was just
I
upset they
knew
would never show
something was
themselves.
there. I knew something was there, but I was resistant because of my scientific training to just accept that they had a name. And so I said, okay, my teacher gave me homework and she said, test your spirit guide. And I said, okay. So I said, it was March. I'll never forget it. I said to my spirit guide, all right, if you're real, show me a snow globe. Okay. 5 minutes later, and in my head, I didn't say it out loud because I know these phones listen to us. So 5 minutes later,
It's
I'm
true.
scrolling on Instagram, and it's March, not Christmas time, March, a snow globe, a psychic lady snow globe to even make it. And then I'm like, son of a. And then the next day, scrolling, the same ad with the snow globe comes up. Then my husband and I went with him to the golf store. He loves golf. And on the counter is a snow globe, a golf with a golf tee with a golf ball on top of it. And
They
then
do. They will find the most creative ways to break through those things.
every gift I've gotten, at least one, every holiday and birthday since then, and my kids don't know this story. They could care less about my mediumship. They're in their 20s, they're doing their
Same.
life.
My kids
You
don't
know,
care. They're like, yeah, whatever.
my oldest son gives me this Mars snow globe, and there's two little when the dust settles, there's little astronauts on Mars on there. And then I have another one back there that my son's girlfriend gave me. And then I was at work, and this is all, within a short time period.
This is when I say things like spirits got jokes.
Yeah, exactly. So I walk into the accommodation room at school where all the students gather to get testing accommodations and stuff like that. And I turn, and there's a lady who's worked there 40 something years. And she has shelves and shelves and shelves of, guess what?
Snow globes.
Snow globes she has collected since she's been at that school for over 40 years. And every time I walked in that room for those years I was there, I just,
Okay.
grinned. Okay, you got me. Ha ha ha.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I was like, all right. And now
Yeah. They will find the funniest way. And this is what I've learned. Either, like in your case, they're planting the seed with the person going, Garrett's snow globe. You know, in like, I feel like in my case, when I asked jokingly on the way home from Camp Chesterfield, after I was like having a dilemma about something, I was like, oh, I was listening to a book, an audiobook, talking about signs. It's actually called Signs by Lorenda Jackson. And she was talking about how she asked her own guides for confirmation via oranges. And then like she walks into a room and all of a sudden there's oranges everywhere. And she's like, that was
And you know what? It's funny about that. I always tell people, don't ask for a penny or a dime, and don't ask for a pirate ship pulling up on your front lawn. Oranges is a great example. It's not so simple that you're just going to find a random orange on the ground like you will a penny or a dime, right? People are always like, they leave me pennies, and your loved ones may leave you pennies, but it's so common to find coins. I need to have something more like the orange or the snow globe, something more unusual.
Yeah. Well, the day that I was listening to that on the way home, and I was like, that's it. That's a sign. Show me oranges. Haha. I was joking about show me oranges. I'd go home, sit on the couch. My husband was like, do you want to watch Virgin River? Like, yeah, I got work to do.
Did you watch the Christmas Virgin River?
I did. I did. We're all caught up. And
I am too. It's the hokiest show.
Hokiest show, but we don't.
But I can't stop it.
It's like you just can't stop watching it. And like I even like trash talk at the. I'm like, what kind of ice skating rink is that? It's like 4x5. What the heck?
I know. It's like plastic on the floor.
So hokey. And so anyway, so I was like, and I get home like an hour later. I'm home. I'm on the couch. We get ready, and the first scene. It zooms in, it opens a scene with a bowl of oranges. Not only that, Spirit one-ups it. Here, blah, blah, blah. Do you want an orange? It's full of vitamin C. I'm like, that was good. And then I looked down on my computer screen and one of the back, I was in Canva. I was working on like promotional stuff. And one of the backgrounds was called Oranges and Cream something. And I was like, well, you just doubled down on that, didn't you?
Yeah.
That was cool. But then what I would find is a couple weeks later, I went to an antique mall in Louisville, Kentucky. And
my husband's from Kentucky. We met in Lexington.
Very cool. So I'm walking through, and all of a sudden I get this notion to go, okay, Spirit, if you're hanging out with me today, show me oranges. And I walk around the corner and there's a tapestry of oranges, not just fruit, but oranges. And then I was like, I didn't think that by myself, did I?
No.
You knew that was coming. So you made me think that I came up with that idea.
Yep.
That was good.
It's so interesting how they put things in our path at the right time. This was 2 or 3 years ago. I was having kind of an emotional day. I was thinking about my mom a lot. And the song she sang to me when I was little was You Are So Beautiful by Joe Cocker. And she used to I'd sit in the chair and she'd hold me and she'd sing and play with my little curls. And I always remembered that. It was so special to me, especially because she died so young. And my students were freshmen. They didn't know me that well and would never have known that story in a million years. and they're doing a lab, and I'm walking around making sure they're not stabbing each other with the,
Right.
because boys.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, about six of them start singing that song in unison. And I was like, they hadn't done it before. They never sang in class together before, ever. There's no way on earth they would have ever known that about me, ever. And they sang, for, I don't know, 30, 45 seconds, just the chorus.
Right.
And I was just like,
it's like spirit was serenading you.
yeah, I just didn't know what to say or do. I was kind of like frozen. But it was definitely my mom saying, look, girl, it's not that bad. Just calm down. I'm here. I'm here. Everything's going to be
What a
okay.
beautiful way, though. It just goes to show how infinitely intelligent spirit is, and how, like, just when we think we know things, we know nothing. That's for sure. Like, in comparison, like, there's no mistakes on the other side. They're doing it. They're doing it right.
Agree.
We may get it wrong here in our interpretation, but they're bringing it through the right way. It's just, yeah, that's amazing.
Do you ever get mad at yourself when you do a reading and you see a sign or a symbol or a thing of whatever, and you're like, you interpret it in a certain way and the sitter doesn't understand it, and then you try to explain it and they're like, oh, but I know what that is. And you're like, gosh, I just like
should have said that first.
I just should have said oranges, or whatever.
Yes. And I teach that in my classes. When in circle, they'll be like, I don't know if you understand, or when I get this, I'm like, nope. Cut down the time, say what you see, know, feel. And then if it doesn't make sense, then dive into it a little bit, kind of go down the rabbit hole with it. But if 9 times out of 10, if you just say what you see or what you just impressed with in that moment, it's going to be right.
Yeah, I've learned that through many struggles over the years. Kimberly Robin, she's a friend of mine, so cool. I'd like for you to field this question. Okay. She said, wish I would get a sign, been looking for a long time. She has a couple of very close loved ones in spirit. What would you recommend?
So for one, I always tell people, if you are really truly grieving still, one of the things one book that I always recommend is, I talked about this earlier, Signs by Laura Lynn Jackson, because she does talk a lot about different types of grief and tragedy, and like people losing, and how their signs come in different ways. Because sometimes, if, like you said, if you can't ask for the pirate on your front lawn, because that's probably not going to show. And you don't want to be so vague. But I will ask, and I've done this before. I wanted confirmation that something I experienced was truly my Aunt Cora coming through. And so I was like, if that was really you coming through, I started to say, show me and I was like, I don't know what to go. And I said, wait, what symbol do you want to be shown? And I heard owl. Like, I just kind of knew owl. There's a first picture that popped in my head. Then I tried talking myself out of it. I'm like, oh, dang it. Nope. I'm going to honor owl. I kid you not, an hour later, I was getting a reading from a kind of a well-known medium. We go through this whole reading, and at the very end, I'd forgotten about the owl part, actually, at this point. And I wasn't even thinking about the confirmation through him from her. I was like going to wait for an owl to land on my roof or something. I don't know. He says at the very end, he goes, wait. Your grandfather's talking about a bubble gum blow pop. No, Tootsie Roll, like a Tootsie Roll pop, with the thing and then that. And I was like, you mean like the owl that went a 1, a 2, a 3, 3? He's like, yeah. he started to deep dive into like what that could mean. I'm like, you could stop right there.
I know what it
Actually,
means.
all that was we're getting ready to close out, and that was my grandfather's mic drop. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
here's your owl. Here's your
Mm-hmm.
owl. And he wouldn't. I was like, listen, I'm telling you, that was the mic drop. You don't even need to dive into that anymore because it was going to take us over the time. But that was how I asked. Like I asked them what they wanted to be seen as. You can also assign, if you're more of a control freak and you want to assign something, you could say, okay, so yellow butterflies, but you have to be open to how those butterflies come through. Just like I was like, show me an orange I started to say, no one's going to sit down and eat an orange in front of you or offer you an orange necessarily. You might see it in random ways. But I tell you what, Spirit got really creative because the next day after the whole see it on TV, and I was like, good one. It was weird. I had a 10-minute break, which was weird in itself. The person that was scheduled didn't come. And I had a moment to start thinking about that situation again, which I already thought I'd forgotten about. I was like, I already decided. You showed me the oranges, and I agreed. It was fine. And so my next client walked up, sat down, eating an orange. I'm like, okay, that was funny.
Yeah.
That was funny because I had no intention of, like, I had already made the decision of what I was going to do based on asking for the sign. And, so you have to be open to how the message comes. Shopping.
And you have to pay attention because I know Kimberly has a young child, has kids, and she's busy. And so you may be so busy in your life that you're not noticing what is happening. Right. So ask for something specific.
If you ask for a butterfly in the middle of winter, it's not going to fly up and sit on your windowsill.
Yeah. Well, and she lives in San Francisco, so it's probably going to rain all winter. So
probably. So no butterflies are still going to come and sit on your windowsill.
Maybe not a butterfly. And somebody asked the name of the book, and it's Signs, but who was the author?
Laura Lynn Jackson.
Laura Lynn Jackson.
Yeah, it's
and
really
I have to get up really early in the morning. And we've been on here for 90 minutes.
I know, and we never did readings. We just talked.
I know. It went by like that. But we can do, more lives later. And maybe just get straight to readings next time. Maybe a couple questions and then readings. But I've had a fabulous time, and I've loved getting to know you and learn about that we have so many things in common, the way we feel about mediumship. Yeah, lots of rain. Okay, so I usually post these on YouTube. Do you have any qualms about posting this on YouTube?
Go right ahead. Tag me on YouTube because I follow you. I subscribe to your channel.
Okay.
So if you can tag me on it, that'd be great.
Awesome. I will, if I can figure out how to do that.
And if not, if you want to,
I'll just send you in a private message the link.
That's fine too.
I'll probably edit out the beginning where I couldn't figure out this.
Smart. Allie's one of my students.
FYI, have 50% off all readings to the end of January. Coupon code is Holly 2023. I have mini readings next on the 28th.
Are you doing those on the 28th?
Pardon?
You're doing them on the 28th also?
I saw that you are too. Yours are at night. Mine are in the middle of the day. So
okay, cool.
Live on Facebook with Kathy Behrens. If she's still here, say hi. We're going to do a live on Facebook on the 28th at 7:30. And subscribe to my YouTube. I have tons of free mediumship content on there. And I always repost my lives there. So what do you have coming up?
All right. So right now I've got on my website, you can actually just go to lorendacarr.com. I finally figured out how to do that, by the way. lorendacarr.com. And you can go to workshops and classes. I've got circles that happen twice a month. They're all levels. So if you're curious or if you're a practicing professional, it's really cool how I let Spirit lead it. And it is incredibly integrative. And everybody walks away going, we're not really sure how you pulled that off. I'm like, me neither. It wasn't me.
Spirit does it.
Spirit does it. I could show up with an agenda and my spirit guides are like, oh, that's cute. So this is what we're gonna do. But it's based on whoever's in the class. So that happens. Those start up again in January, twice a month. I've got Spirit 101 class coming up. It's just a one-off class. They're on sale right now. They're $10 off right now. I've got learning the language of your guides. So once you've met your guides, like how do you learn to talk to them and how do you establish communication with them?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, it's just like it's a one-day workshop. It's chock full of information. And I don't know the dates off the top of my head. Also, everything's in my website. I do one-on-one mentorship. You have to have a consultation with me first. Then we talk about it, do a little mini reading in there, whatever, and decide what the best route is. I have not taken on every single person that
Not everybody's a good fit.
Not everybody's a good fit. And not everybody's like, oh my gosh, you're so amazing. No, like I may not be appropriate for their journey.
Right.
And then what else do I have? I'm going to be also doing a Tarot 101 class, but I haven't put it on the schedule yet. And then next Thursday, I'm doing, I call it Holiday Blitz, 10-minute readings, $20. When you sign up, you pay right then, and then you get a link, and it's just like the psychic fair that I do for Cancer Field. And that's all I got going on right now.
Yeah, exactly. That's it.
And
if anybody has, go ahead.
I do have a 1-year tarot, like a month to month tarot. Like I pre-record it for you. It's like $99. It's marked down to $99. It's on sale. I have gift cards. I do also. Oh, I didn't even talk about how I do past life regression, and on virtually and in person. So I do past life regression.
Oh my God. And I was just talking about getting a past life regression yesterday. Really want to do that.
Yeah. Message me. We'll work
okay.
Because I do those
after the first couple months of the year when things settle down.
That's fine. But I do a lot of past life regression work. And those prices are going to go up in January. But if you purchase in December, those prices are honored going forward. It doesn't matter when you schedule, those prices are honored. So that's what I have going on. I've been working hard on my business.
It shows. I think when my husband sees me on my phone, I go, like 98% of the time I'm working because your phone does everything. I do it all.
It does everything.
Yeah, it's easier than getting out the laptop and coming up to my office and blah, blah, blah. Yep. So, everything's on my website. Peaceful Nick is N-I-K. For whatever reason, my family started calling me Nick decades ago, and it just stuck. I try to be peaceful as much as possible. peacefulnickthemedium.com, or you can email me at peacefulnickthemedium@gmail.com, and it's all in my snip feed in my bio. So you can't find it, it's there.
Yeah, everything you need for me is in my link tree. It's in my profile thing. So I'm glad this worked out. Make sure you guys are all following both of us, by the way. If you're not, then what are you doing with your life?
If we get 50 followers, they'll take away 99. So
that's true. It's true.
I remember the video you made. I'm like, that's what happens to me.
It does. It's crazy. Like
it is crazy. I've been stuck at 37.4 for I don't know how long, and I'll get 300 followers, and it just stays the same.
I finally broke the seal of I'm at 33.9 as of like yesterday.
It'll
stay there for 3 months.
Yep. And as soon as I hit got to 30,000, I started losing. It's like when you hit a big number, I don't know. Anyway.
And we know that TikTok doesn't cancel accounts.
No.
Not the least.
Have a wonderful holiday season, the rest of it, and we will hook up again later. I had a great time.
Absolutely. Yeah, and maybe next time we'll be organized and do readings or something.
Yeah. I just enjoyed the chat.
I did too, and I feel
questions.
There were some really good questions too.
Yeah.
So thank you all for coming in hanging with us and being supportive and tapping the screen.
Yay. And this will probably post after the 1st because I have something scheduled for next week to post.
Okay.
All right. And I'll send you the link.
Sounds fantastic.
All
All
right.
right. We'll
Bye,
talk to you soon.
everybody.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.